So welcome to the We Know Nothing Show, a very, very special edition tonight. And as you can see from the bottom of the screen, I mean, there's no words really where you can sum this bloke up, in my eyes anyway, being a massive Burnley fan. But, you know, the one, the only, the legend, that is Mr. Andy Payton. Absolutely over the moon to have you on the show, Andy. So thank you very much for taking your time to come on. And
absolutely.
I know you're busy, so thank you. Really appreciate it. And yeah, just like as always, guys, tonight's show is going to be touching on Andy's career in football, what he's doing now, how he's, still giving back to the community, obviously, for what he gives so much to from the football club. And yeah, a couple of quick fire questions and all that good stuff. But yeah, as you can tell, a little bit nervous about this one, but yeah, really excited to have Andy on the show. So Andy, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking your time to come on.
Thanks for inviting us. No problem at all. It's good to talk about things, career and all things Burnley, especially with where they're going on at the moment. They're doing so well, aren't they? So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's it.
Easy. Making it look easy. Younger, as always, welcome to the We Know Nothing show, son. As always, my mate, couldn't do it without you. I wouldn't want to do it without you. And yeah, guys, I know this is the most boringest part of the intro, but as you can tell, we are obviously just doing it and just obviously moving on up slowly but surely and stuff. So anything constructive that you can give us is always a winner in our books. But let's keep the negativity, to a hush. Like I said, we're not doing it to be critiqued in that sense. So so keep the negativity down. But yeah, welcome to the We Know Nothing show, Younger. Here we go.
Yeah. So again, welcome, Mark. Welcome, the Padiham predator that is Andy Payton. It's great to have you on. Really going to touch on throughout your whole career. I'll introduce a couple of clubs, and then obviously I've got a couple of notes made down about them, and then I want you really just to give us an insight of what it was like. Obviously, being signed at 14 by Burnley, and then moving on to Hull. I've previously seen you speak slightly about it. What was that like? Because obviously, boyhood club. Lived in Padiham, watched Burnley, and then...
Yeah, it was really tough because I went to Padiham St John's, and then I went to Galthorpe, which is now Shuttleworth, which is right near Burnley's training ground.
Yeah.
I signed for Burnley when I was 14. Now, back in the day, you couldn't sign for a club till you were 14. There were no under 7s, under 8s or anything like that, So when I got signed by Burnley at 14, obviously... my ambition was to play for Burnley because obviously I went up turf every week and I'm a big Burnley fan, obviously,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think thinking about it now, I'll be honest with you, I was quite small. I coach a lot of kids now, and it's good that I can share my story with them that I got released as well. Because majority of kids now in football are getting released because kids, the clubs are having academies starting at bloody 6-year-old and what have you, Anyway, so when I got to 16, I still thought I was going to potentially get in, but I didn't. I got released, and they took 10 lads on, and it was the YTS, which was a government scheme at the time, where you got 25 quid a week. So they took 10 on and released me. So as you can imagine, it was like massive rejection. Excuse me. So what I did... there was no internet, obviously. So I wrote to 20 clubs just throughout Yorkshire and Lancashire, and I got one reply. And the one reply was from Hull City. And I went over there with a guy called Wayne Miller, who I played for a local team called Highfield. Anyway, Wayne took me over. Hull gave me a trial for a week. I went over, stayed in some digs, and... trained there for a week, and then when I came back to Burnley, and then I got a phone call to say that they'd offered me a YTS, which was brilliant, really, because it was a chance of I wanted to be a professional footballer so much, and it sort of made up for the fact that Burnley had released me. The downside of it were that I had to leave home at 16, so I left home at 16. You're a kid, Obviously, you're not a kid, but you're still very young, And I went over to Hull. I was on a YTS, £25 a week, staying in digs with people that I've never met. And I remember one of the biggest things I remember is the manager was Brian Horton, who he went on to manage Man City and what have you. And he just got the job at Hull. Anyway, they were first and second year apprentices on the first day, and there were 18 of us sat in changing room. And he walked in and he said, I'm Brian, I'm your new manager. He said, there's 18 in here. He said, take a good look around because I'm keeping 4 at the end of season. And he walked out and everybody was just like looking at each other. And I thought, God, do you know what I mean? He created the atmosphere straight away.
Yeah.
Dog eat dog, whatever it be. And so I moved over to Hull and my journey began.
So you did 6, I've got down here 6 seasons at Hull, 165 games and 57 goals, which obviously you're a young lad then as well. So really early on, that's a good return if you look at it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. So to begin with, it's funny, I made my debut at 19. I ended up, so I'll go back to just briefly, obviously. So I've got through the first year YTS and got signed for another year. So my wage went from £25 a week to £27.50 a week. So I got £2.50 rise. I was a second year apprentice. And then at 18, I got signed pro, which was great. Hull by then were in the Championship. Then my debut at 19, I scored on my debut. We beat Leeds. Well, I'll be honest with you, 7 of the lads who were in the YTS at Hull got into the first team. There were Dean Windass. I think you remember Dean had a big, long career. And a lad called Lee Jenkinson who went to Coventry at the time for $500,000. So with 7 of the lads got it first team. But I made my debut at 19. Played Leeds United at home. There were 20,000 on. And I scored on my debut. Then I'll be honest with you, probably because I just made it into the side, quite a lot of them appearances were sub.
Yeah.
Do you know what so I would say probably 30 appearances to begin with were on the bench coming on, like what you would do at that age. And then I broke into the team properly. The first proper season I only got 18. And then the second season I got 25 in the Championship, and we finished bottom. Yeah. So by then I'd scored about 40 goals and a lot of clubs were interested, were watching me because I was 21-year-old. So 25, you look at the Championship this season and there won't be many that get 25. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's bottom club. So I had a lot of interest. And Hull became my club as well, I'll be honest with you. Because of the rejection from Burnley, I mean, it was just like Hull City were everything to me, at that time, because they gave me a chance in football. But I really started feeling as though I were paying them back, if you know what I mean, because what happened was when we got relegated from the Championship down to League One, I stayed. Anyway, I played 10 games in the next season. I think I scored 10 goals. And the club really had to sell me. I were in a good position, but I didn't want to leave really,
Yeah.
And Middlesbrough came in for me. I mean, I'd had a great time at Hull. I scored 57 goals. 50 of them goals were in Championship. So I knew that I could score goals at that level. I'd sort of prove the doubts that had, from Burnley when I got released, massive doubts in yourself because you think, well, they took 10 on and I didn't even get took on,
Yeah. So
that had all bypassed me and started to believe in myself a little bit because of the amount of goals I'd scored, at that level.
Yeah.
Where the club they got an offer. Celtic actually came in with $500,000. Liam Brady came down to watch a game, but then Middlesbrough offered, I think it was 750 grand, which was a club record at the time.
It was a club record that lasted 15 years.
Yeah, Middlesbrough's club record. Yeah, and it were really weird because I weren't going to sign, but Middlesbrough were doing really well at the time. I think they were in top 3 or 4 in the Championship. I were thinking really that, I mean, Leeds have been really interested in their Premier League and other interests, but I ended up signing for Middlesbrough. I scored on my debut after a minute, which was brilliant, really. So it took all. I got put clean through first minute. Second minute, I think it was, actually. Yeah. It's weird because I scored after a minute on my debut for Hull. I mean, there was a scramble hit box, ball dropped to me, and I stuck it away.
That's an Andy Payton goal, right?
Well, you know what I mean. But yeah, you got to be there. But the Middlesbrough one, I got put clean through second minute, and there's a lot of pressure on because I was record signing. Anyway, fortunately, I took it round keeper and buried it. But I got injured, and I was out for 2 months. It was a bad injury. First time, apart from when I broke my jaw when I was 19 at Hull, and I was out for 3 months. But it was like it was like I tore my thigh, and I was out for 2 months. So my time at Middlesbrough, when I brought back into the team, I only played 8 games. I scored 3 goals, but we got promotion at last game of the season away at Wolves, and I was in the side for that. So we actually went up to the Premier League. So you can imagine it was unbelievable, you know.
Yeah.
It was the first year of the Premiership. I think it was 92.
Okay.
And that summer, interesting. I'll tell you what happened in the summer. But anyway, so we just got promotion to the Premier League. So the move from Hull, I think Hull got some more money as well. You know, I think it was part of the deal. It was 750 plus whatever if Middlesbrough went up.
Yeah.
But it was at Ayresome Park. I mean, there were big crowds. You know, there's some good players. You know, Bernie Slaven, John Hendry, Paul Wilkinson. I'm just giving names off from back in there. People my age, you might remember. You know. But they were always a big club, you know, not massive, you know, but like at the time they were decent. And so we got promotion to the Premier League, and that's when I had a massive decision to make because in the summer it was funny. I'll tell you what happened. We broke up for the summer. You know, I think we got about a month off. You know, back in there, what had happened? You'd have 4 weeks off. Yeah. Players would go on holiday or what have you, and. Then we come into a pre-season where we won't touch the ball for 3 weeks. We just run. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
But I remember going back in, and I got a phone call off one of me. I might as well say it. Ross Ternent, actually. Stam rang me up, and he said, "I've had a phone call off Liam Brady." He said, "I think Celtic are coming in for you tomorrow." And I went, "What? I had 3 years of my contract left at Middlesbrough." He said, "I think they're going to come back in with a bigger offer." He said, but if this conversation, if it don't happen, this conversation never took place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I went back in day after, trained, and right at the I was just going into my car, and Lenny Lawrence, who was manager, he said, Andy, can I have a word? Like, Middlesbrough had a really poor pre-season, and I ended up going to Celtic for money, and there were 2 players went the other way. A lad called. What was his name? Anyway, I'll remember in a minute. That's my dementia kicking in, you know what I mean? Through Eddie Ball. But 2 players went the other way, and I had the choice: do I play in the Premier League with Middlesbrough, or do I go to Celtic? So when I went up there for talks, and you see Parkhead, and Liam Brady, who played for, I think he won 5 championships in Italy and what have you. I thought, I'm signing for Celtic. There's no way I'm not signing for Celtic.
Yeah.
So very quickly, I've gone from Padiham St John's getting released from Burnley to now I'm playing for Celtic, and it's big up there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you want me to let you have a word or what?
So let me. Obviously, Celtic. We've got onto Celtic. This is great, Andy. Honestly,
Yeah.
Celtic. I've got written down 46 games, 20 goals. What a return that is, especially in the Scottish Premier League. My main point I've got here is 52 minutes, Old Firm derby.
Yeah.
Celtic are 1-0 up. You go and bag the second.
Yeah.
Rangers are currently on a 45-game unbeaten run.
Yeah.
And you go and bag a second goal to put them 2-1 up.
Yeah.
Rangers get the ball, put it on the halfway line, referee blows his whistle, and you lot all turn around and leg it back as quick as possible because it's one of the most talked about and controversial moments in history.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
What's your experiences? Obviously, I've not watched I've watched clips of it back and things like that, but you're there, like,
it
in
was
that
incredible.
moment.
It was incredible because anyway, just before that game, anyway, so I'd started off well. So I scored on my home debut. I've got lucky with home debut. Yeah, we beat Dundee 1-0 and I got up and running. Now, I'll be honest with you. So one of the things that stuck in my mind just before I go on about that game is they had Charlie Nicholas, Frank McAvenny, Paul McStay, John Collins. So I remember getting into training. I had to be there. I had to get there to sign and everything else. And so I'd done the signing. And the first day at training, so I got to training ground at 9 o'clock and John Collins was already in the gym. Now, John had an 18-pack. He didn't have a 6-pack. He had an 18-pack. He was doing parallel bar dips, you know what I mean? And then John over there, everybody were like, absolutely, you know, like the internationals, they were in there at 9 o'clock working really hard. And I just thought, wow, no wonder these lads are, you know, where they are.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'll be honest with you, when I walked in the dressing room at first, I mean, they had a dressing room full of international players. And I thought, what am I doing here? Because you have that doubt, you know, you have that self-doubt, you know. But when I started scoring, because I started off quite well, you know, you either get with the programme or you're going to fail. Do you know what I mean? But they were a brilliant set of lads. We had Gary Gillespie, Tony Mowbray, you know, Paul McStay, John Collins, Frank McAvenny. I can go on, Tom Boyd, every player in international.
Yeah.
And they were great lads. So one of the best dressing rooms I've ever been in. They made me feel welcome. I was only about 23 at the time, which is relatively young.
Yeah.
Got thrown in. First game I played, Charlie were up bench. Charlie Nicholas up bench instead of me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know. Anyway, building up to that Rangers game, I think I've got into double figures. I was doing all right, you know. And, you know, what people will say down here is it's a crap league. Fair enough, yeah. But Rangers at the time were brilliant.
Yeah.
They had Ali McCoist, Trevor Stevens. So Trevor Stevens walking out for the Old Firm game. I got Trevor Stevens' autograph down at Borthwick when I was 14. And he couldn't remember, obviously. He went to Everton and then he moved up to Rangers. He's got 50-odd caps for England. And he stood next to me as we were walking out. And I felt like saying, do you remember me? I got your autograph when I was down Burnley at 14. And like, he had a great side. McCoy, Stately, Trevor Stevens, Durant, Goff, you know, Gorham, goals. Great side. So I know the league, people going about the league, but that, you know, that tie, the you know, the support is 30,000. Now, what they do now, I think there's only so many can travel. Back then, there were 30,000 in either end, 60,000. It was the only game where, you know, if you put your fingers in or out your ears and you can't hear, you couldn't hear anything. It was just noise. And I remember game started after about 10 minutes. I got the absolutely most stonewall penalty ever. Referee never give it. Game was just kicking off. I got 5 stitches in the head because I got elbowed. I went off, got stitched and come back on. None of this rolling round and all that gag, you know what I mean? Yeah. And John Collins scored the first goal.
Yeah.
Brilliant goal. Turned up edge at back box, stuck one in. John's ran over to Jungle, which is the old, like the Celtic long side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All ran over after him. And it's on TV. And the referee, there were 7 of us on the touchline jumping on him and all that. And we weren't there for ages, you know what I mean? And he kicked off. He let him kick off. And luckily, 2 of our players had sprinted back and one of them got a foot in. So obviously, we've all gone round to ref. You've never seen out like it. You let him kick off. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, incredible. Never seen that before. But then we got a set piece, what we worked on. And it worked. And, you know, I ended up sticking one in. I went 6-yard box, you know, sort of what strikers are meant to do.
Yeah.
And the best feeling ever, because if you play for Celtic and you can get an Old Firm winner as well as scoring goals as well, you know, you feel as though you've achieved something then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's played up there and not really done that much, you know. But the noise and unbelievable. Probably, you know, I love scoring for Burnley and I love scoring for all my clubs, but that was, it was a special goal. and the Celtic fans don't forget, you know. And it's one of the biggest memories of obviously when I was up there. I ended up finishing, you know, I got 20 goals. I was top scorer. But it was just also as well European football. You know, we played Young Boys of Bern. We played Sporting Lisbon. We actually got knocked out off Dortmund in quarterfinals. I mean, like, I'm not going to get European football down in England unless they were playing for top four, which obviously weren't happening.
Yeah.
If I'd been Scottish or Irish, I'd have got 50 caps, just like all the others. I played for Celtic, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it weren't to be, and I loved my time up there. Absolutely brilliant, unbelievable crowds, everything else. Liam Brady got the sack because we finished second to a really good Rangers team.
Yeah.
And then what happened were Lou McCorry came in. Lou, for some reason, didn't fancy me. It happens, you know. They play their own or whatever. And Viv Anderson, who you know, Viv Anderson was with Danny Will Barnsley.
Yeah.
Viv, you know, he were a great coach, good manager, persuaded me to sign for Barnsley. We're doing well in the Championship. And I just thought, people were saying to me after, how come you've signed for Barnsley when you were at Celtic? And I just said, you know, I got persuaded. It was Championship football.
Yeah.
I always look at it like this. It led back to Burnley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the turning point, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it led back to Burnley because at the time, but I mean, you know, from Celtic, what I'm saying is I came back down to the Championship. I probably should have gone to a Premier League side, really, a low Premier League. You know, I mean, when I was at, where was I? Steve McMahon tried to sign me at Swindon once when they were at Premiership on deadline day, and I turned that down. It was too late. I had about 10 minutes to decide. So there were options of, you know, playing in the Premier League. But I mean, like, I'd gone up there and done the business, really.
Yeah.
But came back down to Barnsley. Barnsley had a really good side. And more or less 2 weeks after I'd signed for Barnsley, Viv Anderson left to join Brian Robson at Middlesbrough. We thought, oh, cheers for that, Viv, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Danny Wilson was there. We had a really good team with, like, you know, Neil Redfern, you know, Andy Liddell, Nicky Eden, Brendan O'Connell was there. With a good side.
So 122 games for Barnsley, and again another good goal return of 45 goals over that time.
Yeah, I think so, 47.
you were never short of a goal.
Absolutely.
What's your biggest memory about Barnsley over them sort of 3 seasons? I think
the biggest memory was so I'd never played at Turf Moor in my life, because the school team I played for, no disrespect, we were rubbish. So we never got to any cup finals or anything like that. We used to compete every week. And so Burnley had just got promoted. So we're going back to 94 now.
Yeah.
Long time ago. But seems like yesterday. So Burnley had just gone up. Fixtures came out. I've never played at Turf Moor. And Burnley's third home game, Barnsley at home. And I'm thinking, oh, bloody hellfire. Do you know, because I've never played against Burnley. I support Burnley, you know.
Yeah.
Even though they'd let me go, you know, once it's in you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, but the fact of the matter is we're playing Burnley at Turf Moor. There were 18,000 on. And it was, obviously, Barnsley won 1-0 and I scored. So, obviously, I didn't celebrate for quite a few reasons. One, respect, because it was Burnley.
Yeah.
You know, I lived back over here, so I didn't want to get my head kicked in. But you know, you see players going back to their old club scoring and then doing laps of honour and all that. Yeah. Disrespectful, I think. But anyway, but I'll be honest with you, part of me inside thought, get in there, because, you know, I'd proved them wrong, if you know what I mean. But I felt as though I'd scored when I went back to Turf. I'd already scored over 100 goals for the 3 clubs we've just mentioned. You know, Hull City, Celtic. If you had them goals up, Middlesbrough, and then half of the Barnsley or whatever. So I proved myself, but it was a really weird feeling because I didn't celebrate, and I'm really glad I didn't celebrate. I didn't want to celebrate, but I just walked back to halfway line. A lot of Burnley fans remembered that, you know. And then when we played at Barnsley, scored again, we won 2-0.
Yeah, I think that's to be able to do something like that though one day. I think that's just a testament to the respect and the admiration you had for Burnley as a fan. I think the fact that you scored against, you know, a club that you supported that got released and stuff, and I think that's just a testament to yourself. But just looking at your sort of like moves over like the period of time where you've gone from obviously Hull to Middlesbrough up to Celtic and then obviously down to Barnsley, like obviously being, and you were still quite young really as well in the sense of a footballer. So what was it like for you when you were going from these clubs? Like when you had clubs chasing you, what was it like for you? Was it a sign of like a sort of like a vindication, thinking, well, this is another sort of thing to show Burnley they were wrong for releasing me. Look at all the interest I've got. What was it like for you knowing that clubs were interested in you?
Well, it was good because it meant that I was doing my job. And my job, I got told at a very young age that I need goals off you. So every season, it started off with Brian Horton at Hull. He was a great manager, but he was very much old school. We did what we were told. And he'd say, I want 20 goals off you. End of. So by hook or by crook, and I had to do so much practice, you know, like after training, you don't always, you go through bad spells, you know, you've got to work at your game. And I realised early on that if I scored goals, you know, that's what my job is. That's what I'm there to do. You have to keep reproducing season after season, you know, and that's what I did. And I absolutely love the buzz of, you know, being top scorer or because that's my job. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you know, like when we got promotion at Middlesbrough and later on when we got promotion at Burnley, we had great players in the teams that did everything, you know, the defenders did their jobs. But that was my job. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I wanted to get as many goals as possible and do it week in, week out, you know, because like I said, you know, that's what I've paid to do. But, you know, it was funny because Burnley, I think, had slipped a little bit. I think they'd gone back down to League One and Barnsley were in the Championship. So I honestly thought that it probably would never happen. Yeah. You know, the opportunity to play for Burnley, you know. And I was sort of like 26, 27. I mean, I had 2 seasons at Barnsley, 2 and a bit. Yeah. I think 47 goals. Strikers know how many goals he scored. If the striker doesn't, like, come on, like, you know, like, if I don't. And I know I did well, but the final year of my contract, I got 20 goals. And they offered me a deal. But I'll be honest with you, Brian Horton had got the Huddersfield job. And Huddersfield had just, you know, the McAlpine Stadium. Yeah. It looked a bit, you know, new. There were a lad called Marcus Stewart and a lad called Andy Morrison, who signed on the same day as me. They signed all 3 of us. And I thought you know, and I'll be honest with you as well, I got offered more money. And I don't want to sound like, you know, it's all about the money, but when you got it's not like nowadays. I mean, I'll show you some here, just briefly. So can you see that? Yeah. What do you think that's for?
I know what that is, Andy.
What is it?
You got that for a man of the match trophy and a crate of like 12 cans or something like that.
No, this is something else. So that's
leading goal scorer
for getting me 200th goal in my career.
Wow.
So I'm not knocking it because obviously when I won Golden Boot, which I've got here, obviously that's a bit of a different trophy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that one, this is how football was at the time.
Yeah.
So for my 200th goal, I got a tankard. I keep it. I treasure it. It's there. This is like my birthday shrine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what would a player get now if he just scored 200 goals? Probably get a Porsche or something, wouldn't he?
Well, I was just going to say, you probably
big fancy car and a Rolex.
I went for the rise. I got offered a better contract, but trust me, it wasn't life-changing by a long shot. But that's like, you know, footballers of today, you know, I mean, there's lads who don't even make first team who are millionaires. I don't know. So the game's changed a lot. Move to Burnley from Huddersfield is unbelievable, really, when you think about it. So what I mean by this is, so Huddersfield were in the Championship. So I've signed for Huddersfield. We were doing really well. And I'll be honest with you, Marcus Stewart, who ended up playing for England. Halfway through the season, he got injured. And we were flying. We were right up there. Marcus got injured. It hurt us a little bit. I think we finished about 6th. But I got 19 goals, so I was top scorer. But I've been having this problem. And it ended up being I had to have a double hernia operation. And I was out for about... So I finished that season. The new season had started. I got this double hernia. And I was out for something like 4 months. So in that time, Brian Horton got sacked. And a new man came in. One of them again who didn't fancy me. Even though I got 19 goals in the Championship previously.
Yeah.
So Burnley at that time... So I signed for Burnley in January, but just leading up to this, so January, Burnley are bottom of League One, and Huddersfield are doing mid-table, but the manager weren't going to play me. He told me that. I played my first reserve game back after being out for 4 months. I was absolutely knackered, as you can imagine, fitness-wise.
Yeah.
And I got home, and manager rang me, and he said, all right, Andy, he said, Chris Waddle's wanting to sign you for Burnley. He's going to ring you in a minute. And I'm like, I was breathing out my arse because the game had just finished.
Yeah.
But, and I'm looking at table, League One, Burnley bottom of League One, January. They won 4 games. And I'm thinking, right, well, so Chris Waddle's ended up ringing me. We want to sign you. You're a local lad. Hopefully you can come in and do something for us because we are mega struggling. And I'm thinking, wow, the bottom at league, but it's Burnley, you know. And looking at table again, they've won 4 games. It's January. They're probably going to go down. What if it don't work out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember really, so I've got like 24 hours to think about it. He said, let me know tomorrow. So I remember I drove down Gawthorpe Lane, pitch black, middle at night, down to training ground. And I just sort of, on car park, just sort of, weren't like it is now. It's like Fort Knox now. Back then, you could sort of down there.
Yeah.
And I went down outside ground. And then I just thought, you know, something. I thought, I'm 28 stroke 29. I thought, I'm never going to get this chance ever again. So if I say no, it's not going to happen. And I thought, yeah, I'm doing it. And obviously, I don't regret it, obviously, because... it ended up being a fantastic move for me. But the circumstances, not many Championship players who've just got 19 goals at Championship would go and sign for a League One club who were bottom of League One. And also, as well, let's be honest, for no money. It was swapped here with Paul Barnes. I think the manager fancied Paul Barnes or whatever, you know, he'd had him before. And so I signed for Burnley, didn't I? And as everyone knows, I scored on my own debut. We won 1-0, but it went right to the wire. Plymouth game. I was injured the game of season. I'd scored 13 goals, though, by then. You know, we had some good players, Jerry Harrison, you know, Andy Cook. You know, it was before Stan came in. So Chris Waddle, I'll be honest, Chris Waddle, people go on about Chris Waddle's management style and all that. I think because he played with players at the top level. Yeah. He'd come down to Burnley and he was struggling a bit with players that weren't up to his standards a little bit. You find that sometimes, don't you? Know? And I remember the Plymouth game, obviously, where Cookie's got 2 great goals, Andy Cook. We've stayed up. It was a miracle. I think prior to Plymouth, we won 5 games, 1-0. And I managed to score the 1 in each of the 5 games, but the defence had kept 5 clean sheets as well. So it weren't just about me, obviously. Yeah. But we stayed up, and it was like it felt like one of the promotions. You know what I mean? I don't know how old you were back in here.
I went to that game. My dad's a Plymouth fan, so
you know. And Plymouth went down.
Yeah.
And we had to rely on another result. I think it was Brentford or someone, but it was. I was so glad that I'd signed for Burnley just to feel that, you know. And also, going back to my first ever goal, Southend at home. Weller's whipped a ball in. I've got across the near post, put it in. I think Neville Southall was in their nets, actually. But it were to score at Turf Moor for Burnley, who I supported as a kid, meant everything to me. So that just to get that moment, it was worth everything. You know what I mean?
I bet you celebrated that one scoring at Turf Moor, didn't you?
Oh, it's amazing, yeah. I was running round. I've got pictures. I mean, somebody took a picture, right? You know, one of the photographers. So I've got the pictures and everything, you know. And then, yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, like I said, Hull City became my club.
Yeah.
Well, I was back to my club now. I was back at Burnley. And, you know, everybody knew me. I went to school in Padiham, you know, so I had friends, you know. I didn't want anyone to think, you know, Andy's coming here giving it the big one. So I was everybody's mate, you know, like you are. You don't want to change, do you? Because you're your mates.
Yeah.
You know, like he's got mates, hasn't he? You know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
If somebody would have told me when I signed for Burnley, when we were bottom of League One, that, you know, we get a promotion, I win a Golden Boot and get 81 goals, which is like, you know, quite a few, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Finished top scorer for 3 seasons up bounce. Am I taking that? Absolutely. You know what I mean? So the best thing I ever did. Celtic was unbelievable, obviously, you know, but I had that experience. I believed in myself, you know, because I played at that level. Yeah. But it don't always happen. Sometimes it's hard to make it in your own town.
Yeah,
it can be harder, you know, because you've got to produce the goods, haven't you?
Did you feel like it was? Did you feel like it was sort of full circle for you, Andy? Because I think like when you talk about your career, and you talk about your highs and your sort of lows of being released by, obviously being a young lad and being released by your hometown club, with this sort of like a sort of out of body experience when you scored your first goal at Turf and stuff, and just thinking like I've come full circle here, and I'm at you know, like you said, you're 28, 29, you probably, you know, in your pop really, you know where to go, misses and stuff, and you knew that you had a massive task to do to get Burnley to stay up and stuff. So what did that feel like, knowing that you know you were going to be one of the main men for your hometown club, knowing that where you'd been in your career?
Well, it was an amazing feeling, I'll be honest with you, because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Because that game, our fitness wise, I were probably honestly 65% because I've been out for that long. But I got thrown in, obviously, and it worked out. But I was nervous. I'm thinking, I hope it works out, because every goal I'd scored, prior to that, I'd scored over 100 goals.
Yeah.
I'm at Burnley now. I've got to score for Burnley. It don't matter how many I've scored for them. It's now. And also, as well, I felt as though it addressed when I scored on Turf for Barnsley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just a magical feeling, because it was just, you know, being a Burnley supporter as a kid. I went on as a kid. You know, like all the kids are going back. All the kids are back on the turf now, aren't they? Because they're winning. And it was like that atmosphere when I used to go up Turf. All my mates went on, and everyone in Burnley supported Burnley, you know. Yeah. So to get the opportunity after being rejected later on was amazing. But I got it into my head that I knew that I had to produce. And I just thought, you know, if we can do it and get a promotion, it will be amazing.
Yeah.
And Dan came in, which will obviously next bit, which we'll get onto, and things started, you know, changing.
Yeah. So obviously, Stan comes in, and as Burnley fans, we all know that you and Stan have a decent connection, have a very good connection. You know, if I'm right in saying that you still see him now. So, like a few of the other players, you know, Weller, Glenn Little, Branchy, you all still see Stan Ternent, which obviously it's wonderful to see players still speaking to old managers and stuff. What was he like as a man? Because obviously we, as fans, you don't see exactly what he's like.
Well, Stan was manager of Hull City for a while.
Yeah.
So I'd already had Stan for a season at Hull. Stan was an excellent manager, as you know, one of the best. Mm. What Stan did, he pulled together a really good squad. You know, I mean, look what he'd done for Bury. He kept Bury in the Championship, which was, I mean, that was a miracle in itself. First of all, to get them up to Championship, but then to keep them there. But I knew Stan, and I knew what he was like. Very, very old school manager. You know, training, no wearing gloves or tights or any of that rubbish. You know what I mean? And what Stan said went. He was the gaffer, end of. And I think we needed that because we had a team full of, like experienced lads. But you need that. You need, you need to be told, he was the voice in the dressing room. He would say what went on. Very, very good tactically, obviously. Great manager, and also, with the Burnley connection as well. So I knew that when Stan got the job, when he came in, I knew that certain players were going to go because they wouldn't be up to what Stan wanted.
Yeah.
And that he would put a good side together, and it took him, well, we had a season, obviously, where we are, where we getting rid of players to bring new players in.
Yeah.
And then the second season, we got promotion, but he put a really good side together. Lads that maybe Chris Waddle hadn't been getting played, like Glenn. I mean, Glenn Little weren't even playing under Chris Waddle. Obviously stand straight. I know you can't believe it, can you?
Madness.
Madness, But we got the team together, and the lads played for each other. Lads played for Stan. Stan, I mean, old school manager,
Yeah.
but a leader, and he turned the club around very quickly, I mean, in Stan's first 2 seasons, I got 50 goals. I got 23, and then I got 27 when I won the Golden Boot. My job, though, I had Glenn Little on that wing. You know what I mean? Glenn, I knew. So I'll be honest with you. So when Glenn got the ball, I knew that at some point there were going to be a cross at the end of it. I just didn't know when because he beat somebody 18 times or whatever. So and Glenn, you never knew when it was going to come in, but I knew his favourite one, he'd usually dink it to far post. And I knew that, and he knew that. So,
that little.
Obviously, Glenn, I weren't bothered how I scored, whether it was a worldie, a tap in, a penalty, it don't matter. My job was to get on end of stuff, And we had some good players in the team. Steve Davis, Stan signed Steve from Luton, came in at centre half, leader, ball winner. You can go right team, We had a good team. Paul Cook, Mickey Mellon, it goes on. And I just feel as though we started winning again. A bit like what's happening now, the crowd used to them losing every week. But we started winning games. And it's hard, when you're in League One, Sheffield Wednesday's still in League One now. Clubs get caught down there a little bit,
Yeah.
And if you can get out of League One, I mean, the club, since we got that promotion, we've never looked back, in my view. But Stan came and did a great job, put a great team together. And I do think the club have never looked back, but it was everything that the gamble that in my head, which I took, it weren't a gamble because I was coming back home, but it paid off massively.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm scoring goals now, and I now want to set records and all sorts.
Yeah. So let's talk about that promotion season. 99-2000 season.
Yeah.
You're scoring goals, 27 in total. You win that beautiful looking trophy behind you. It's last game of the season. Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
Win and Gillingham lose, and we go up.
Yeah.
Win and Gillingham win, and it's playoffs. What's your thought process in the build up to that game? What's Stan saying to you in the build up to that game?
Well, it was funny because I'll be honest with you, we were travelling across. I think Gillingham had been doing well.
Yeah.
And we thought they'd go and win at Wrexham. We actually thought, we knew we had to win, but we thought they were going to win as well. We really did. Excuse me. And it was weird because we went over sort of half, it weren't, because it wasn't, we weren't in control of it, the outcomes had to come like that. But it was just for us to be in this situation because we'd had a good run in. I think we won about 5 games up trot or something like that, leading up to it. We beat Cambridge 2-0 the game before Scunthorpe. I got 2. And we, it put us in a really good position. But I'll be honest with you, on that bus going over, I don't know. I think most of the lads thought they were going to win.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when the game ended at 2-1 and the pitch invasion and all that, we had a 5-minute wait in the dressing room. So Stan said, look, he said, their game's still going on. So he went, social media weren't like it was now, obviously. I think Stan, and he was listening to radio or something. And then
teletext.
Probably text, you know what I mean, teletext. And then I remember the door just came in and they were very emotional. He said, right. He said, lads, he said, just keep it quiet. And none of us knew score. And he went, yeah, you've got promotion. And he started crying and then lads started jumping up and it was just like unbelievable scenes. You know, because it was only, 2 years ago we stayed up skin of his teeth. And then, you know, we had a really good dressing room. Stan created an unbelievable atmosphere within the lads. We had a great group. I mean, we had Ian Wright was there. Obviously, Wright came up, made a big difference to the dressing room. I mean, it was funny with Wrighty because a lot of people say, you know, Wrighty this and Wrighty that. I got suspended for 3 games. I got sent off in a game against Bristol Rovers. Glenn scored a worldie. I got headbutted and I ended up reacting to it. Linesman saw it, got a 3-game ban. And after training, I went home and I used to live in Accrington. And next door neighbour, a Blackburn fan, he knocked on the door Monday morning. Never ever knocked on the door any other time. And I went, you all right? He went, has Burnley signed Ian Wright? And I went, what? I've not even heard about it, mate. Ian Wright? I thought, we can't sign Ian Wright. I think he was at Celtic at the time. Yeah. He'd been a legend down there. It's Arsenal days. And anyway, so there was about 1,000 people down at training. And even though I was glad we'd signed Ian Wright, I was thinking, hang on a minute, he's going to play instead of me. Yeah. And obviously, right, he did. He went straight in up front, obviously. Now, when I say luckily for me, he didn't score in his first 5 games. I don't mean that in a bad way, but what I mean is, if Wright had come in and been banging him in, I'd been on bench. In fact, I was on bench a couple of times. So when I came back, Stan put me on bench and Wright started. I think I run 24 or 5 goals at the time, but I was still on bench.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Wrighty got 4 goals and he made one in particular. I think Notts County scored it 93rd minute, massive goal for us. But what Wrighty did, you know, the dressing room, you know what I mean? He used to have a show on Friday nights in London. It was Friday Night Live, but they used to film it on a Thursday. So he'd only come up on a Friday to train, do a 5-a-side, and then that were it. But it was a brilliant signing because he just got the dressing room going, you know.
Yeah.
But when I look at how Stan did it, you know, and because he put me under a little bit of pressure to go and deliver. Do you know what I mean? And when I did get back in the side, I scored at Wrexham when I got me 200th, and then I got a couple against Cambridge. I hit the bar in the last game against Scunthorpe. I'd love to have scored in the last game, obviously, because that's what everyone remembers. But, you know, to get 27 goals, I got player of the year, I won Golden Boot, my hometown club. Come on, you can't write it, can you?
Well,
so, best thing that ever happened.
It is funny that you say that, Andy, about just about Stan's mentality and just how he were as an old school manager and stuff.
Excuse me.
You know, we've been lucky to have obviously some ex-professional footballers, and we had Branchy on one of the shows, and basically everything you're saying is what Branchy echoed about Stan's mentality. You know, he still calls it. Branchy said he still calls him the gaffer now. And I think like at the time, I think a lot of the footballers that played under Stan at Burnley, I think a lot of footballers say that they got the best years in football under Stan because what Stan gave them was the trust to go and do the job on the pitch, and he trusted like yourself, Branchy, Wells, Steve, the lot of you to go and do the business. And I think, you know, how many times in your career, Andy, where did you have that where you knew that your manager had full belief that you were going to go and do that job? You know, was it a couple of managers? Was it just Stan who gave you that belief that, you know, you could run for a brick wall for him, or, you know?
Yeah,
would you say he was the best one?
Well, I think with Stan obviously having the Burnley connection, and me, Stan knew what to say. Excuse me, to me, because he'd say to me, "You're doing it for them out there. You know, you went to school with them. Your mum and dad, you know, well, your dad will be watching. You know, your brother, our David came to all the games, home and away. My brother's out there. I'm doing it for my mates. You know what I mean?" And he'd say stuff like that. You know, he knew how to get players, the best out of players. But what he would also do, and he would keep strengthening the squad. So even if you were doing well, there was somebody else walking through the door. So you're never in that comfort zone. And also, Stan was very, very good at like reverse psychology sort of thing. We'd win a game, think we were going in for a five-a-side, and he'd run the absolute bollocks off us. You know what I mean? Something like that, just because, just to get us going again. A little bit like what Dash did at Everton. First training said random. Then he said no snoods and no gloves. You know what I mean? And he created that. We've got to work.
Yeah.
I'll do it every Monday morning. Understand? Win, lose or draw. Down at Gawthorpe, we had you to get in pairs. First team squad that played on Saturday, regardless of the score, and we had 30 runs to do. 10 300s. So you 3/4 pace, 300 metres. Then you jog back. So 10 300s, 10 200s, and 10 100s. 30 runs, right? We're a killer. But he did it on purpose. And lads, we win on Saturday and think, oh, surely he's not going to do that again on Monday. He won't do it. He won't do it. You get down. All cones were set out every single Monday. But that's what we did, and we were very fit. Win, lose, or draw, that we worked really hard as well, But it was good. Going back, to original, Danny Wilson at Barnsley was a great manager. Brian Horton at Hull, who just was the most old school manager. What he said went bollockings. You've never seen out like it. You know what I mean? He'd tell you, you had to do what he said. Simple as that, And I think Liam Brady was a little bit different up at Celtic because he played at a higher level. Yeah. So he wasn't as vocal as, say, Stan. Stan, out of the lot of them, were the most vocal. He'd just tell you how it were, big time. But we probably needed that,
Yeah.
And he did such a good job at Burnley. But on a personal level, to get that amount of goals, so far, I wanted to finish off with 100 goals for Burnley if I could.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I didn't get picked enough. I didn't play enough games after that.
Yeah.
Because when we went up to Championship, I'd signed a 3-year deal, which were going to take me up to nearly 37. The first season back in the Championship, I ended up with 15 goals, but I won't bench a lot. But we signed Ian Moore. We signed Robbie. We're signing good players, and at the end of the day, at the time, I'm sort of 34, 35 now. And, I get it now. I get it now because I'm miles older. At the time, you're thinking, wow, why's he not playing me?
Yeah.
But, you've got to re-strengthen, and that's the way it goes, I finished off with 81 goals. I'd love to have got more. I was nearly 37. But my time at Burnley, I look back at it now, I'm so proud of it because I'm proud of my career, I'll be honest with you, because for a lad who went to Padiham St John's to end up playing for Celtic and finishing top scorer and then doing, I'm not giving it the big, and I'm just, as a goal scorer, that's what that's what you're meant to do, But really proud of being a local lad and scoring 81 goals for Burnley. You can't write it really, can you?
No, Andy, look, you had a absolutely phenomenal career. I've got you down as 588 career appearances. Now, I want to say the goals, but you're going to set me right, I'm sure. I've got you at 226 goals in all competitions now.
Yeah.
So,
well, but it don't matter.
No, but what
striker, you know your goals, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So what a phenomenal achievement that is. And like you say, at the start of your career, you're a young lad. At the end of your career, you're not quite getting the game time that you at the time felt like you should have been getting. One thing, and I want to touch on it is you've noticeably you've been an advocate for it for some time, and that's addiction. And if you don't mind me touching on that, drink free for over 11 years now.
Yeah,
what an achievement that is. I think obviously football back then is a different game, and the players are different now. You've done an amazing doing 11 years without that. How have you done that? What's the mindset been like?
Well, the mindset's been like, I'll be honest with you. So basically, a lot of footballers, when they come out of football, you're like, like a train hitting you or something like that after a bit, because you've had a regimented lifestyle from ages 16 to 37. Every single morning I got up and I went training and I played for Burnley or played for whoever. And when that stops, it's hard. It becomes hard because you feel as though your purpose in life is over. People change towards you. You were the hero, but now you're not. They've got new heroes, which is life. Yeah. But you've got to get over that. You know what I mean? Footballers can have problems. Like anybody can have problems.
Absolutely.
But the fact that so many footballers go through this similar sort of thing, not just footballers, sports people or anybody who stop working or whatever, So, yeah, I went through, one or two problems, and so I decided to stop drinking, 11 years ago, which I did. And the things what I should have done probably in that 4 or 5 year spell where I struggled, I did all my coaching badges, now I'm in a position now, obviously, I have UEFA license. I've been for 5 years. And life's really good. I'm really happy. I live with my Victoria. We live at home, got a great life, And I just think, without going too far on about things, you struggle when you come out of football. You can't. And, I got over it. And for the last 11 years, I don't drink, obviously. And life's great, I feel so much better not doing. And it works for me, I think we've got places in Burnley, like church on the street and things like that can help people properly, qualify people, rather than me trying to help people. I do try and help people, but I can only tell them that I stopped drinking 11 years ago. Yeah. But, I did it because, I found life hard and I went about things the wrong way, And
that's noticeably what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
You make a decision, you go down that route and you think it's the right decision. And obviously you've done 11 years with drink-free. You mentioned Victoria there, and I can see a smile on your face. I see it every day. I see you on social media and posting about. Yeah. She's had a massive effect on your life and again, that's wonderful to see as well. Like, that smile.
Very happy. If you're happy off the field, if you know what I mean, or whatever. But Victoria came into my life 3 years ago, and she's amazing. And we live together. My girls absolutely love her. She's beautiful. But we click. We do everything together. And she changed my life. And so I love my coaching as well.
Yeah, that's my next point, really. Obviously, coaching is a massive thing for you. It's almost like your outlet now. You're giving back to young footballers. I see videos of you doing a little bit with your daughter as well, who's still playing.
I know. It's a funny one,
So you love it, don't you? You still love football.
Of course I do. I love it. I'll be honest with you. When you come out of football, so if somebody had said to me, which they did, I think at the time, do you want to do any coaching? I'm like, coaching? I'm a player.
Yeah.
I'm still a player. So until your brain realises that it is over, and that if you're playing against somebody who's 21, they're quicker than you. End of, because you're 38, 39, 40, it's over. So until your brain, processes that thought that it is over, because I was like, I'm not coaching because I want to be a player. I still want to play. And then at some point, I think, it gave me a focus as well. I love coaching. I love coaching the kids. I've done it to, I'll be honest with you, I'm as proud of my A licence as I am of my golden boot.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what I mean? Because I did that after. And I love coaching kids. Probably, it's strange really why. Well, I'll be honest with you, Burnley, a lot of the lads, every single one of the players who played when I was playing for Burnley aren't coaching at Burnley. But what they can tap into, the resources of somebody who's played 500 odd games, won a golden boot, and has got a UEFA licence, you'd think potentially they could tap into it. But I do my own coaching. I love coaching the kids. Absolutely love it. You know, they like the sessions. I keep it fun, you know, and it's just good, you know. So I can't complain. I'm really happy, you know. But the honestly, their license is, you know, I'm well happy with that.
Is that when you
yeah.
Well, it's good that you touched on your coaching side of things, Andy, because I think that obviously myself and Tony, we've alluded to it many a time, like off the show and talking just in general about football. But to give back to the community is probably a massive thing for yourself. But I think it's a great point you made about what the struggles that you went through and about the not having a purpose and coming out of football and realizing that and it's a great point that you've made, because I feel like so many sports people struggle with the same thing of when they come out of the trade and they come out of the they're doing something day in day out repetitively and the purpose is gone. They're not they don't want to go into like a normal life because they struggle with it. And I think looking at what you've achieved in the past 11 years when you have been drink free and what you have done in that period of time, and now I love the fact you're so open about your emotions and your love for as you call it, your Victoria. I love that. I think it's amazing to see in this day and age, because it's such a taboo. Way back when you couldn't really, as a man, you couldn't really show your emotions and stuff. So I think that's brilliant what you do in showing your emotions. But touching on your coaching, what would you say is sort of the future for Andy Payton? What would you say? Would you be willing to get into management? Would you get into coaching? Would you go and join one of your old players as a coach if they were a manager? What does it signal for you, Andy?
Well, it's a funny one, and thanks for that, Mark. I really appreciate it, pal. But I've been down at Burnley College, for the last 7 years, and Jerry Harrison, Jerry's down there. Me and Jerry coach down there. Jerry's a great lad, and love coaching the students. Just recently, I've been coaching the girls more, just the way it's worked out. We won the Northwest 7-a-side competition college. I think there were 18 other colleges up there. And I've got a couple of really good players down there. I've got Lulu Newton, who's at Burnley, and Cora McCormack, who's at Accrington Stanley. Really good players. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I'm looking to go down the women's route a little bit. Yeah. Hopefully something's going to come off with one of the local teams to create a women's team. Just because there's a gap from when girls leave school at 16 to, being 23 or something, where there's no teams for them. Yeah. So that's something I enjoy doing. I've coached lads down at college as well, but I love coaching. I'm down at Soccer Burnley 3 times a week, with different groups, and I get so much pleasure out of it. It's just the coaching side of it now. I enjoy it as much as I did when I played, and I would never have said that, But yeah, it's life's good, and I'm glad how things have turned out. I worked hard to get where I am, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I look back on my career and I'm proud of it. If somebody would have told me, like I've said, I'd get 81 goals for Burnley, I mean, especially when I got released at 16, you can't write it. I'd have been like, how is that possible, Yeah. And I love the club, and I love the way things are going at this moment in time.
Yeah, that's my next question, really. As a Burnley fan, what's it like being an ex-player and a Burnley fan over the last 10 years watching Burnley? Because obviously we've been in and around the Premier League for the last 10 years now.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. So being in the Premier League is brilliant. You can never, ever, I mean, what Sean Dyche did for Burnley, whichever anyone says about it, was amazing. To be in the Premiership, with teams with the mega money and all that, just to be in the Premier League. But I think what had happened is nothing to do with his style of play. I'm old school myself. Do you know what I mean? But Burnley fans had got used to not winning games. How many games a season would they win? I don't know. Maybe not even into double figures. So this season, Vincent Kompany's coming. It could have gone either way last summer. Yeah. You've got to give credit to Alan Pace. You have to do. because if it had gone wrong this season, we would have been in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Financially and everything. I think everybody knows that with the debt everyone was going on about. Now, he spent a lot of money, obviously. Not unbelievable money, because we sold players as well. Obviously, I think we should have got more for Pope. I think everyone thinks that, because he's probably £40 million keeper. But anyway.
100%.
But I think he signed 19 players. And let's be honest, we could put 2 teams out in this championship and still be first and second.
Yeah.
We've got a good side. And what I've loved seeing is there's a coach of kids. All the kids are back on the turf again. Everybody's involved. And it's really, really good. And now we're all going to go up with 20 points clear. If we don't, we'd have to lose, 8 games up trot. Let's be honest. We're going to go up, I'm sure.
It's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest.
It's a capitulation if we go down, if we don't win that league this season, isn't it?
In the cup, we're doing well. I mean, let's be honest. We've got Fleetwood at home. I'm not, tempting fate, but come on, we've got a chance. Anything can happen then after that. It's knockout. But it's been an amazing season, and he's done unbelievably well. And he's fantastically well. So fair play to everybody down at the club, because it's just lifted the town again, hasn't it? And it's good. And, seeing exciting football, wingers that are taking people on and making things happen. And he's made some brilliant signings, really.
We haven't seen much of that since Glenn Little, have we?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Definitely not.
Looking at the way that the style of football, the wingers going past people, that mazy run that Glenn Little would do, we're getting that back.
I mean, people were saying to me like Dwight McNeil, comparing him to Glenn, and when I was saying no, Glenn miles better in my opinion.
Yeah.
People say no, Dwight McNeil, like fair play to him. He's at Everton, but Glenn was unbelievable.
He was.
But we had, Paul Weller, we had some really good players at Burnley who like, to the point where when it went wide, I knew what to do and get it box.
Yeah.
And I think we'd lost that a little bit, haven't we? Through Dyche's style of play, but it kept him in Premier League. He'll probably keep Everton up and do well, But it's just good. The club is just doing unbelievably well. I mean, also as well, they did this, invited on me and Victoria, they'd set up this thing, Forever Clarets, bringing ex-players back to the club,
Yeah.
I think they'd stopped doing the half-time draw and what have you. And it was really good. We were the first, and we went into Chairman's Lounge. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. Felt as though the club really, you felt appreciated.
Yeah.
I think we've lost a little bit of that. Do you know what I mean? In the past, you know what I mean? So it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. And it was good. Yeah, and we really enjoyed it. Like I say, it was excellent.
On a series, on a sort of, this is one of the things that when I look at the team now and I look way back when the team what you're playing in.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna have to give yourself the big in here and there. So you're gonna have to big yourself up big time. But this team what we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
How many goals do you think you'd score in a season with this team?
I think I get a lot of chances because I think crosses coming in, from Benson, from Teller, from what's he called? I can't pronounce his name.
Nahura.
Yes, Nahura. You know what I mean? So, my job is to get on end of a lot of stuff. So I think, I think I'd be confident to score a lot of goals. We're an attacking side, aren't we?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. You can never compare teams. You can compare, but they never get to play each other.
Yeah.
Love the team we had. You Steve Davis, you Mickey Mellon, you Paul Cook. You know what I mean? Glenn Little, Paul Weller, myself, Andy Cook against, this team. But it's never going to happen, is it?
There'd be a lot of this team led on floor, let's say that.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of this team led on floor.
Well, there's no tackling football now, is there?
No.
I mean, every game I used to play, centre half Sidoni threatened to break my legs before the game even started, and they used to get a free challenge and everything else. But no, I mean, it's always good to look back and everything else. But they're doing really well at the moment, and instead of just talking about Burnley as well, going back to you two. So I've watched a few of your podcasts. I think you're doing really well. And I hope it kicks on for you because it's good, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And if you can get more players, ex-players on or whatever, people just want to listen to, the opinions of ex-players about what actually happened and things, you know. So it's good.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, that
means more than you know, to be honest with you. Yeah, it really does mean so much. We're going to finish off with just a couple of sort of quick fire questions. You might want to go into detail on them, but best player that you've ever played with?
Gazza, when he came to Burnley. But when he came to Burnley, he struggled. But Gazza came to Burnley. And out of all the players, when he was at his best, got to be Gazza.
Yeah.
If you're saying someone else, individual talent, when I was at Burnley, got to be Glenn Little. Got to be. But I played at Celtic with Charlie Nicholas, Frank McAvenny, Dean Windus at Hull. I've had some good players. So you've got 5 answers there. Sorry.
I know, yeah. Which is next one? Toughest opponent.
Toughest player.
Near enough every centre half I played against every weekend who tried to kill me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Richard Gough at Rangers was a player. Very good. I mean, I played against Rio Ferdinand. You know, he was obviously very good. He was at West Ham at the time when I was at Huddersfield. But yeah, probably I'd say them two, Ferdinand and Gough.
I mean, what a like. You know, again, being able to play against like someone like Rio Ferdinand, look at the career, what Rio had in the game and stuff, and you probably caught him when he were, you know, a bit rough around the edges and stuff like that, but he was still coming through with that, you know, that talent, so to speak.
I'll be honest with you, when I was at Barnsley, we played Arsenal and played against Keown and Adams, and they just kicked lumps, you know, and that back four, what they had, the Arsenal back four, I think Lee Dixon on the right, and it was on the left. Winterburn, yeah. And there was some back four, but back in there, you get leathered, you get smashed all over, you know. But I mean, game's changed a little bit, you know. The game has changed. I don't like the diving side of things. I hate this time wasting. One of my pet hates, I'll be honest with you, is watching a player pretend to be injured because I'm coaching the kids, and the kids are doing it because they're watching their heroes do it, and I hate it. You know, it's one of my pet hates. Nearly as bad as playing out from the back. That's my second pet hate. Every weekend, Norwich keeper against Burnley, thanks, 7 minutes or whatever it were. Come on. That won't happen back at there.
No, absolutely not. Best club?
Best club, Burnley. Got to be. My hometown club, without a shadow. Playing for Celtic was magnificent because there's such a massive fan base. But playing for Burnley meant everything to me.
Best atmosphere?
Got to be Old Firm.
Yeah.
Got to be the Old Firm because it was crazy. Old Firm, definitely. Celtic Rangers.
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
A quick one. I've got one for you. Best goal?
Best goal. Now, any goal's a goal, you know. I think the Cruyff turn at Burnley was one of the best ones I scored because it was instinctive. Yeah. Back to Cruyff turn, straight at top left-hand corner. But as a striker, any goal's a goal, innit? But I'd say that one stands out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, I've got this, I remember. The club made that.
Yeah.
So every goal I scored for Burnley on DVD. No, but I tell you what, but how many players have got one of them? You know, I mean, the club made that. I mean, it was brilliant.
Well, this is it, mate.
Well,
this is it. So one of the lads that's a big fan of the show, like Martin. He obviously we've kept it. Basically, like I can let the cat out of the bag now. Basically, what happened. So obviously you've got WhatsApp and stuff in your WhatsApp groups and stuff. And when you agreed to come on the show and you sent me your email. So I copied and pasted your email. Yeah. And I was copying and pasting something else at the time. So what I did is I put your email address in the group by accident, deleted it. But then Martin said, "What was that Andy Payton thing you put in your thing?" I went, "Oh, nothing." So he knew. So he had an inkling. He was like, "Have you got him coming on the show?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what you mean, mate." You know what I mean? But he said to me, he's got that DVD. You know, his dad, Peter Howard, big Burnley fan, and they've both got it. And Martin was just saying, like, to watch that DVD back is like going back over the years where like you sort of like were a hero to some of these Burnley fans, and you know you're a massive for us if you know, and that's what lot of the fans hold you in such high regard for what you did for the club.
Well, that's what I love, mate. And the fact is, like I say, I went to Padiham St John's, and some of the kids I coach, go to Padiham St John's or whatever. It can happen, I mean, you can, and that's with rejection thrown in halfway through as well, massive rejection. So, yeah, I mean, I love the club, always will do, So just to be able to say that and know that I've played a part in the history of the club is brilliant for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last couple, how much would Andy Payton be worth in today's market?
Oh, I don't know, because if somebody, so I'd say, I don't know, a team finished bottom at Championship now, and a 21-year-old striker got 25 league goals, what would he be going for? 20 mil?
Something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's be honest, you know what I mean? I mean, there was a record at time for Middlesbrough, which were quite a few quid back in day.
Yeah, but, absolutely, it was.
I mean, until somebody's actually paid something for you, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But going off that amount of goals, I think I'd be up there. Yeah, you only need one move nowadays, don't you? And you're
multi-mil. Set for life, aren't you? This is it. One move, set for life, aren't you?
We have to do it season in, season out, I think potentially, a club would take a chance on somebody that did that. But it's only money, innit?
And obviously, we talked about the current club. Where can you see the club going at this moment in time?
I mean, they're doing brilliant. We all know that the league above is different gravy. So a lot of them players are going to be really tested next season because they're going up.
Yeah.
The manager has done an unbelievable job. The manager's got a statue outside Main Road. They absolutely love Vincent Kompany. You know that. Vincent Kompany will attract attention of a lot of clubs. We know that with the success he's had at Burnley.
Yeah.
So that will be tested at some point. You understand what I mean? Of course it will.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he'll stay, But he's created a thing down there again where we're just winning every game. They've got Preston Saturday, and I'm thinking they'll probably win just because I can't see. I'm not saying it's a poor championship, because you can't say that, but Burnley's squad is by far better than anything else.
Yep.
There's only Sheffield United, obviously, who's given us a game that time, aren't they? They're between us and them, but hopefully they'll be good enough to stay up next time. But I think the journey and the joy that they're giving the kids at this moment in time is brilliant. We've not seen it for a long time, have we?
Absolutely not. No.
I think, like you said, though, Andy, I think it's a good point that you're making. I think the fact that if you look at what Kompany's achieved in his short time as a manager, not just at Burnley but at Anderlecht, there were a few eyebrows raised when he left the Premier League to go and be a player manager at Anderlecht, and then he went just into management. I sometimes I think you pinch yourself sometimes when you're watching him and Vincent Kompany's your manager on the sideline, just with obviously the career he had in the game and stuff. And I think you are absolutely spot on with it, Andy. I think he's destined for great things in management and football. I think he talks sense. He's very humble. I think what he's done. I love the point that you were making earlier, because on the last show we did with DJ who come on, we actually, all three of us, alluded on to the fact that of what he's done and how he's brought the town back together. Getting 19,000 on a Tuesday night is unheard of for Burnley recently and stuff, and what he's done. But I think what Kompany, I can see Kompany being the long-term successor at Man City when Pep goes. I think I can see him going there big time. But what a job.
They might be playing in League One then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. With what's going on. Yeah, what a job he's doing, though. What a job he's doing.
And a great job. I'll be honest with you. The fact that to bring 16 players together, somebody said to me at the beginning of the season, "What do you reckon?" I said, "I'll be honest with you," and I'll be honest. I thought, they do well to get it top 6, just because there were so many new players coming in. Yeah. I thought to connect straight away, he's going to take some doing. But we started winning immediately, and it's just grown from that, hasn't it? And we have by far, in my opinion, and probably yours as well, got the best squad in that division.
Absolutely.
But they have all clicked. It's been amazing, really, hasn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We needed that hiding, didn't we, at Sheffield United as well? That we'd got into a bit of a, this is going to be a walk in the park sort of, they spanked us, and that's just changed the whole mentality again. So,
of course it has, yeah. So they're flying, aren't they? They're flying. Yeah. And it's good to see, it's good to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All to say now, Andy, is thank you very much for taking time out of your evening and coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us, lads.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I'm still, I'll be honest with you, I'm still a little bit starstruck that we've had Andy Payton on the We Know Nothing show. Like, it just, thank you so much for coming on and taking.
We've been bouncing all week, mate. To be fair, like, yes, it's Andy Payton. It's coming on. It's great. So
good. Great, well done, lads. I've enjoyed it.
So thank you so much for coming on and talking through your career. And it'll be up in the next day, really.
So there you have it, guys. That's another amazing episode of the We Know Nothing show with the one and only Padiham Predator, Andy Payton, Burnley legend, hero to so many Burnley fans. We hope you enjoy this one. This one has been a massive one for us. Enjoy the show when it comes out. Andy, again, thank you for taking the time to be speaking about your career. Younger, as always, mate. Couldn't do without you. So thank you very much. Yeah, enjoy, guys. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Andy.
God.